Hey, welcome back, everybody, to today's video. We're going to talk about why you would go sprint car racing. Probably in the top 5 of the conversations we have at our shop throughout the season of people coming in want to know why this, that, or the other. Stay tuned. We're going to get all the details next. Hi, I'm Billy Dietrich, sprint car mechanic and driver. I've been around racing my whole life, and it's pretty much all I know. We created this channel to share the good and the bad and everything in between. Our crew might not be the most experienced or professional, but we get it done and we have a good time doing it. We'll show you what it's really like racing weekly at some of the best tracks in central Pennsylvania. I'm also going to share some sprint car tutorials, mechanics, parts, and whatever else I feel like. So like, subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications. And enjoy the ride. Yeah, boy. Well, like I said, this is probably amongst the top 5 conversations we have in the shop between me and Danny and some customers that walk in there, whether they be new customers, possibly future customers, or people that are just surprised all around. And that conversation is about the current division they're racing and going sprint car racing and why they would do it. And a lot of that comes down to the cost of the division they're currently running versus what it costs to go sprint car racing. So that's probably the biggest thing that we discuss there, but there's a lot more topics along the way, and we're going to hit all of them right now. Now, all my points here, I know it's going to be different for where you are in the country. I mean, obviously, Central PA, where we're at now, we got all kinds of sprint car racing. You get, other areas of the country, you may not have 410s, you may only have 360s, 305s, so on and so forth. So, when I'm giving you my information, all my data is based on Central Pennsylvania, what we have here, the current racing situation as far as 410s, 360s, 358s, 305s, winged, wingless. We kind of have a mix of all of it here. And to go with that, we also have a whole mixture of other classes here, whether it be 270 micros, 600s, wingless 600s, late models, street stocks, go-karts, you name it, all kinds of stuff. Quarter midgets, believe it or not, quarter midgets fall into this category too. But we hear it all, and a lot of people we've come to learn what they did prior to going sprint car racing have given me and Danny and a lot of us all the information that we did not know prior to this, as far as the amount of time and money that it costs to go racing in other divisions versus what it may cost you to go sprint car racing. So here is going to be some of the categories that I've kind of put together, not in any particular order. All right. So the first thing on my list, I kind of mentioned it already a little bit, is obviously cost. Everything is cost. And what I've come to realize is that sprint car racing, as all forms of racing, they're all expensive. We're not trying to say it ain't expensive, because it's all expensive. We know that. But what I've learned from a lot of people is, even, from a quarter midget to go-karts to right on up the ladder of 270, 600s, the cost of racing a lot of times isn't much different. Now, you say, how can that be? How can you look at a sprint car and say, well, that's going to cost you close to the same amount of money as, a micro sprinter, what some people were spending to go travel and go-kart racing or quarter midget racing? Well, when you break it all down and you look at what the parts cost and, this, that, and the next thing, a lot of times it ain't a whole lot of difference there. At the end of the day, I mean, the biggest thing is probably going to be the investment in the motor. But I've found out that sometimes even like the 600s, for use them for example, and 600 racing in central Pennsylvania is huge. They're everywhere. They're multiple 600 classes from what I gather. Of course, you got the wing, the wingless. They have a speed week. They got tons and tons of cars. and it's awesome. They got lots of tracks to race at. But what I learned is what these guys are spending on a 600, they could probably spend, I'm going to say, darn near break even to get into some level of sprint car racing. So keep in mind when I'm saying this, I'm not necessarily saying 410s because this could be any of the sprint car divisions. It could be a wingless 360 division, which is kind of gaining some momentum in central Pennsylvania and New Jersey. That's, when they break it down, the price for the car is kind of almost the same, from what I'm gathering. And when I see used stuff for sale, I see these used cars where they could be different brands. Um, yeah, they're pretty close in price. So that's one of the things that automatically was probably the biggest topic of discussion is the cost. And the reason I bring that up is people, I believe, when they realize that it's not, a front axle is within $20 or almost the same amount of money, they're kind of shocked. And can say I was the same way when I learned that these guys are spending almost the same amount of money on the actual race car as we are on a 410 sprint car or a 360 or 305, same car. Uh, they're kind of like, wait a minute, I'm spending the same amount of money and I got a smaller car. And that takes me to my next point, the purse / the payout. I know every class is different, but there are some classes you may only get $20. You may not even get that, and then you're here again, you're kind of weighing it out once you realize the initial cost. Then you say, what am I getting on the back end? Well, when you get your payout at the end of the night and maybe you're not getting any payout versus, maybe you're getting $300 just to finish last or start the race in one of these divisions. It's a big factor. And it kind of goes, at first, you don't really think about it, but once you start growing into this racing and you're thinking about maybe taking the next step, it's a big reason as to why some people make that move because they look at the payout at the end of the night and they're saying, hey, I can cover my night if I don't break anything on the car. You get a decent payout and you got a little more money to go racing the next night. So the purse is also important. The next thing I want to talk about is sponsorship. So when you move up in classes, and this is here again, not a knock on any other class, but a lot of times you're going to find when you move up into another class, a sprint car, which like I said, Central PA is probably the number one class. I would say the super late models are like number two, if I had to guess, as far as the amount of tracks right here we run out locally. You're going to get a lot more exposure. You're going to be on Flow or Dirt Vision or any of them streaming networks because all of our local tracks, for the most part, stream all the races. You're going to probably have a larger audience too, as far as a crowd. Your sponsors, if you have sponsors, you can maybe try and upsell them a little bit. Say, hey, we're moving up to another class. We're going sprint car racing. We're going to be at the Grove or Lincoln or Port Royal or any of these tracks. You're going to have a larger audience. You're going to be able to reach out to more people, and that can help you as far as the marketing side of things too. You'll be able to use that to build on, and maybe not right away, and I'm sure there's plenty of sponsorship in all forms of racing. I know there is, but that'll help you build up. Maybe you come into this as a 305 and you start there and you get some notoriety. You're in front of the 410 audience, and then one thing can lead to another. So sponsorship and exposure to all kinds of stuff. Other racers, which is good because you get to meet other race car drivers. So just the idea of being in front of more people, more exposure. I feel like that will increase your marketability, ability to get and attract more sponsorship. And hey, we always need sponsorships so we can keep racing. The next thing I want to talk about is the actual competition. competition is what it's all about. We really want to, we for most people, I feel like competition is what drives you to get better. I mean, really, that's pretty much how it works. The more you race, the more you can get up the ladder, and it's stiffer the competition is, and that's no different. You move right on up through the ladder. You're able to make that move, and a lot of times people tell me, they're kind of wore out wherever they're currently racing, whether it be, it's just here again, use a micro as an example. They're they're racing, they're winning, they're just kind of used up. They kind of feel like they've kind of plateaued, and naturally the next step is moving on to a bigger car. And a lot of times it's sprint cars. So the competition is is by far you're gonna, especially if you go to the 410 level, you get all the way to 410s, which is, I mean, a lot of guys do. A lot of guys go from a micro right up to a 410. They skip the 358s or the 305s, boom, they go right to a 410. And I hear it firsthand all the time. Guys are like, "Whoa, I'm used to winning. I'm a top five consistently. Maybe win 8, 10 races a year." And then they get to that level and they're like, "Man, this is hard. This is tough." And if you get past that, the point where you're like, "Man, this is tough. I'm not winning. I want to win." If you can power through that, and that's when you really find out that the competition is really something you can use to your advantage. You got the competition that's going to drive you to do better. You're going to want to get out there and get the laps in, and if it means running 20th and getting lapped, it's what it means. But it's part of building and getting better. So the competition is a big thing that I see. Everybody, when you move up, that use that competition as a driving force to just to never quit. You just want to keep on going and going, and the competition is what's going to do that for you. Get in there, and once you embrace it, there's really no going back. You just want to keep going and getting better. Also, want to add to the competition side of things, I feel as though that it helps you grow as a person. And when you are, let's take if you're a younger individual and you say you're I see it a lot. You're in your teens, even in your early teens. Maybe you're not even 16. When I started racing, it was a rule you had to be 16 to race at all the local tracks in a sprint car. There was no exception. But nowadays it's 14 you're racing, sometimes younger than that. But it's going to help you grow and mature as a person, off the track as well. You're going to be around professional race car drivers. You're going to be, the world of outlaws may come into town. They all stars or high limits now, as it's called. And not only that, just your local racing. In this area, we race so much. We basically have some full-time professional teams here every week, but it's going to help you grow. It's going to help not just you, probably even help maybe your crew. You're going to help everybody grow and become better. And that's a big thing when you get that drive for the whole team. The competition is going to drive you. You're going to mature. You're going to grow as a human being. The way you carry yourself, maybe the way you interact with other people. The fans are going to see that. Your sponsors. So, that's a big thing too about the competition. It's definitely going to help you personally on and off the track. That's my take on it. I've seen it a lot over the years, and it's good. It's a good thing about it. You get maybe pushed out of your comfort zone a little bit, as they say, but it's a good thing for you. Competition, so it's good for everybody. All right, next thing I want to talk about is the speed of a bigger car and going faster. And I can't relate to that, so to speak, because I never raced anything other than other than a sprint car. Never raced a go-kart or any other kind of car. But I hear it a lot. These guys that move up, they finally make the jump to go sprint car racing, and they're like, they're speed junkies. We're all speed junkies. We like going fast. We want to go as fast as you can. That's how it is for all of us in all the classes. But when you get in that sprint car and you hold that thing while you're going on a straightaway, guys like the speed. It's an adrenaline rush. Um, you just want to go, and it doesn't matter what form of sprint car racing. It's probably going to be the most powerful weight, the horsepower ratio that you're going to have, and the horsepower is awesome too. You're going to get in that car, you're going to have so much power, and the way the suspension works, and it's very addicting. Is where I'm going with this. Guys move up out of whatever class they're in, they get in a sprint car, and I see them. We sell them parts. They come into the shop, and I'm like, "Hey, man, how's it going? What do you think?" And they're like, "Man, we're really hauling the mail. Like, man, I went under the bridge of the Grove, and the car sat down. Man, we were really going fast. I didn't expect that." Or, racing with somebody, and then the way the wind, the air affected the wing. Stuff like that. So, the speed and the horsepower, that's a big deal. Guys, once they make that step, um, they're just in awe of it. I feel like, and I know how it was for me when I started racing. Couldn't believe the horsepower that was available, and then trying to control it. And it's the same thing nowadays. Guys move up, they get in that car once they get a little bit of practice under them, or they get to racing, and the horsepower, the speed, the going fast. It's a big part of it, and I think everybody enjoys it. That's kind of why we race. We want to go fast. So the speed, the horsepower, you're gonna like it, and it's just another reason why you make that step. You're not gonna look back. You're gonna keep going forward. One more topic here, and it kind of goes with a little bit of what the last one was with the speed, but you're gonna get on bigger tracks. A lot of guys never had that experience of being on a big, wide, a Sealands Grove style track, Williams Grove, even for really Lincoln Speedway is going to be a big track for a lot of guys, but that's another thing that I know a lot of guys are just pumped up about. They want to move up, and then they get on these big tracks, and they're like, man, this is great. Get all this room to race. We're not on a tight little track. Um, it's fun to go to other tracks too. You got a lot of tracks in the area in Central PA, and I know out of the area too as well. There's a lot of tracks that you can go and race at. You're not boxed in to a certain handful of tracks. You can travel a little bit and go to see all these different tracks. They're going to race sprint cars. Central PA, Ohio, Indiana, down south they do some racing, and on out through the Midwest. You have lots of opportunities to race. You get to go to all these other tracks. For me, I like the idea of going to some of these tracks that maybe on my bucket list. So you grow up, maybe you watch the King's Royal. You get a sprint car, you can go there and race. That's another thing that guys is kind of a novelty, I guess you could say, but it's one thing you're not going to get to experience unless you make that step up, and it just opens that opportunity for you to do some of this stuff. And a lot of guys do it. A lot of guys will even go to Knoxville just because they want to go to Knoxville and be part of the event. And I totally get it. I think it's cool. We only get one trip around, so you make the most of it. And that's another reason why, if you move up, one of the advantages of what you can do with the sprint car. Well, that's going to wrap up the video. I know that this is probably a great debate. I know if you're watching this, you're going to agree with some things, you're going to disagree with some things, and that's totally fine. By all means, please comment below. Let me know what you like, don't like, agree with, disagree with, or even share your own personal experience. I would love to read some of the feedback on here. And I also know that this is for me and my perspective on things. And everybody's going to have a different take on it. Like I said earlier, depending on where you're from, where you live, the circumstances are going to be different. And I get that, but I hope you enjoyed the video and my take on all this and strictly what it is. And I appreciate you watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't cost nothing to subscribe, but it lets you know when we post a new video. And like I said, comment below. Let me know what you think. I appreciate you tuning in, and we'll see you next time.